Have you ever dealt with like anyone in the manosphere red pill community, like Rolo Tomasi or Fresh and Fit, or even the Tate brothers or Rich Cooper?
So let me ask you a question. So these that's Andrew Tate, right?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I don't really know who he is, but I've had tons of people show me videos. I don't really consider him to be red. Maybe he is, and there's other videos I haven't seen. But I just did a YouTube video analyzing videos of his, and I agreed with everything that he happened to say. I don't love his tone. I don't like how he says certain things, but underneath his aggressive tonality is really rock solid information. Yeah,
well, that's very interesting. So you're saying that you agree with the policies or the the information, but the tone is what sort of turns people off. So I'm not sure if you're aware of this. My business partner, CEO Patrick Bet-David, and I flew to Madrid right after he got canceled, and we did a 5-hour ridiculous sit-down podcast. It's got 10 million views. This was, I don't know, a month ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And we learned a lot about it because this is a space that we're in. But obviously he's taken the internet by storm, and he's pissed a lot of people off. He's essentially excels in controversy, especially his tone and the way that he uses his vocabulary. Like, as an example, rather than saying men are stronger than women, he'll say women are weak. So he knows like trigger points on what to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's making a lot of men look in the mirror and basically say, damn, like I got to get my life together. I got to make more money. I got to get better shape. I got to improve my status. So based on what you're seeing, you're saying you do agree with everything that he's saying for the most part, but it's his tone that you think turns people off.
Yes, I don't like that he calls women bitches. I don't like that he positions himself up here while somebody else is down here. But at the core of his messaging, he's telling men to be leaders, men to be confident, men to not get walked all over and get lost in their emotions because somebody isn't giving them attention. I say the exact same things. I really want men to be the strongest, most powerful version of themselves for them. I want them to set boundaries. I want them to have rules for themselves. And ultimately, I want them to create a level of respect for themselves that nobody can touch. And that sounds like that's exactly what he's doing. He's younger than I am. I know a lot of pickup artists who used to spit out the same information. He's
probably not that much younger than you. I mean, how old do you think he is?
I think he's like 28, 29.
No, he's like 36, I want to say.
Okay. Well, but I'm just saying he's in like that scene. And I've interacted with so many pickup artists who are like that. They spout information out the same way. And then 10 years later, things adjust and they change their tone, but they still have the same message.
Well, look at Neil Strauss. I mean, any young man in like early 2000s read The Game. Because every young guy, when you're 22 years old, you just get a first job. You're like, I want to get laid. I want to get paid. I mean, everything that I'm talking about here on the show here. And you read Neil Strauss's The Game. And to prove your point, now he's like anti-pickup artist. He's a family man, married kids. So like you're saying that guys go through a transition, and you're saying that ultimately you think Tate will end up going through that type of transition.
He might. I'm just saying it's a very young way of expressing yourself and sort of a naive way of expressing yourself. I just feel like when you're younger, things are much more black and white. And as you get older, things become very gray.
Why? What do you think will change for a man? If his message is basically, listen, guys, you got to get stronger, bigger, faster. So we talk about can't be a pussy, you can't be a pushover. And if you can get to this elite level, you'll get all the money and the bitches and this and that. But women obviously get triggered by the word bitch. Obviously, that's not a word that I use like at all. However, it's a word that he uses. But you're saying that that's something that most men will grow out of at a certain point?
Yeah, I think most men will. Some men don't, and it just depends on. Well, I guess it depends on their makeup and who they are and the experiences that they have. Like even for myself, I'll go back and listen to the advice that I gave when I was first starting out, and I was 23, and I was even more black and white. It was this or that, and I just maybe that's my growth and me pushing my own beliefs onto other people, but I think most people go in that direction. People who I started out with in the pickup artist world who were touting like, screw her, don't listen to women, don't let them walk all over you. I hang out with them now, and it's a much different conversation. Like even the guys from Real Social Dynamics, who were huge back in the day, people like Mystery, who was huge in the day in the pickup artist world, who was just here yesterday. I had Jared, who's Psych from a very long time ago. He was here. Cosmo, who was the winner of the pickup artist, was over at my house yesterday. They're just very different people from who they were when they were in that world and they were much younger. They just see things on many different levels.
If you're not evolving at a certain point, if you're still kind of talking about the same talking points from 10, 20 years ago, then you don't have a lot of growth. So so I hear you on that. A term that Tate and a lot of the pickup artists or people in the red pill, manosphere space, you hear this term like toxic masculinity. He's toxic masculinity. He's toxic. Do you think Andrew Tate has toxic masculinity, or is he just a masculine dude?
I have to think about that one. I think like when he does, I don't like putting that type of label on somebody, to be honest. Some of the things he says can be toxic because people who are listening to him may not have the amount of information that they need to properly take in that information and put it to practice. So for example, when he says things like bitches or she's a cunt or what, like there's somebody else on the other side who's taking that in who's just not going to take it in the right way. So as I was saying before, he's very black and white. He doesn't explain the nuances to what he's actually saying and how he applies it in real life. So that's where I think it can become toxic. But I think toxicity comes from the person who's using the information. It's like how they're digesting the information, taking it in, and then putting it out into the world. So like, for example, when I was heavily in the pickup artist world, I really always said I agreed with most of the material that was out there. It was the intent behind it that made it toxic or off-putting to women or objectifying of women. The content at its core is wonderful. Most of it was based in psychology. It was how it was applied and the intent behind it from the user.
So if you like that clip, click right here to watch another, or if you want to watch the entire Soscast, click right here.